Yes, good evening, everybody. We are continuing with the 5-year plans. So we are starting with the sixth 5-year plan. All right. Starting with the sixth 5-year plan. Right. I have completed up to 5. Yeah. Sixth 5-year plan. Now, sixth 5-year plan is 1980 to 96. Based on small scale industries. This is not clear. Yes, okay, wait 1 second. Why is that? Wait. Is it breaking or is it not clear? If they're breaking issues, probably because of the internet. Tell me if it is not okay, I'll switch the network to something else. Okay, it's not clear. Okay, wait second, 1 second then. Okay, 1 second. Now tell me how the voice is. Please tell me if the voice you take something else. Sixth 5-year plan, we are discussing about it. Any issues with the voice, just ping me. If it is all right, also just tell me, maybe we need to raise the volume. Not clear, still saying. Okay. Why did this happen? Okay. Okay, 1 second.
Now is it fine? Is it fine now? Should I, or is there a problem even now? Then otherwise we have to move. I think it's fine, right? Okay. Okay. Fine then, we'll continue. Okay. The sixth 5-year plan, we are dealing with that. And during the Janata phase of government, the major objectives was first one, to increase in employment or creation or employment generation. Employment generation, development of agriculture, improving small and cottage industries, various poverty alleviation programs, improving employment generation in rural areas and unorganized sector, specifically in rural areas and unorganized sector, specifically to eliminate regional disparities. These were the specific focus areas of Janata government. After that, stress was given to programs like after Janata government, stress was given to National Rural Employment Generation Program. Some specific programs was created. National Rural Employment Generation Program, comma, Rural Landless Employment Generation Program, and Integrated Rural Development Program. These were created. Integrated Rural Development Program. Apart from that, comprehensive crop insurance scheme. Was initiated in the last year of the sixth five-year plan. Okay, so change of governments and change of schemes. After that, we had the seventh five-year plan between 1985 to 1990. Here, government merged the National Rural Employment Generation Program and Rural Landless Employment Generation Program. These two things, they merged into Jawahar Rojgar Yojana. So they merged two schemes into Jawahar Rojgar Yojana. I'll write it down. Jawahar Rojgar, or some books write C, some books write J. Anything is fine. Rojgar Yojana. All right. So employment generation programs was again given primary focus. Employment generation programs. This is also Rojgar. Rojgar is basically giving you jobs. So again, employment generation programs were given the primary importance with special focus in regional development strategies. The idea behind such employment generation program was regional development. This was also a regional development strategy. During this plan, the planners recognized settlements and their development was a prime goal in regional development strategy. And then there was 2 years, annual plan was conducted for 2 years, 1989 to 1991. There was some instability that happened in the year of 1990. So there was the annual plan that began to be operated for 2 years. And again, this focused on annual plans because of political situation. The seventh five-year plan was discontinued. And instead of that, we had the development of annual plans. And there were many political uncertainties. And the annual plan focused on employment generation and social transformation. It also led to the beginning of LPG reforms. It also led to the beginning of LPG reforms. Right, right. Now, the next one, eighth five-year plan. Eighth five-year plan between 1992. Any disruptions with the internet? Any disruptions with the voice? Because I'm continuously getting some notifications. Any disruptions? No. Okay, fine. So 88th five-year plan, 1992 to 97. This resulted in the most modern approach of regional planning, the most modern method, modern methodology of regional planning that was obtained during the eighth five-year plan. They finally decided that growth should be holistic. The aim was holistic growth with complete removal of regional disparity. For this purpose, government initiated district rural development agency. District rural development agency, national water mission, national water mission, district rural development agency, development of mega cities, concept of concept of conurbation, various schemes for infrastructure development, comma, manufacturing and allied sector, manufacturing and allied sector development was initiated. So by this manner, they wanted to remove the regional disparity. So that is about eighth five-year plan. Now we'll go to ninth five-year plan. So this is for the first time, government recognized some new areas for regional development, like sanitation program. This is for the first time, government recognized new areas for regional development, like sanitation program, education program, food security programs like midday meal scheme, food security programs like midday meal scheme, MDM, midday meal scheme, comma, rural connectivity program, and uh, promotion of agro and cottage based industries, and promotion of agro and cottage based industries. So ninth five-year plan, right within bracket 1997 to 2002. Ninth five-year plan focused on 7 basic minimum services. So there was a program called Basic Minimum Services Program. So 7 basic minimum services was focused on. Number 1, safe drinking water. Number 2, primary health care centers. 3, universalization of primary education. 4. Public housing assistance to shelterless families. Public housing assistance to shelterless families. Next one, nutritional support to children. Next, connectivity of villages. Streamlining of PDS system. Streamlining of PDS system. Right. Then comes 10th 5-year plan between 2002 to 2007. It continued the strategy followed during the 9th 5-year plan. It continued the strategy followed during 9th 5-year plan by initiating some more programs like National Rural Health Mission, Jawaharlal Nehru Urban Rural Mission, Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Rural Mission. No. This is wrong. Wait 1 second. Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission. National Urban Renewal Mission. Renewal Mission. Now, 1 second. Have you seen some buses will have JNN URM buses? Seen them? No, never seen JNN URM buses. Yeah, I'm asking you, have you seen those buses? So there will be buses, there will be some, electric post lights that you see in the streets. They will be having the boards as JNN URM or something like that. Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission. Right. So where are we? And Rajiv Awas Yojana. Rajiv Awas Yojana. Rajiv Awas Yojana. Basically your housing schemes. So these are some of the important schemes of 10th 5-year plan. Continue writing. Rajiv Awas Yojana. If you need some spelling, just message me. Rajiv Awas Yojana. Okay. Now, 10th 5-year plan focused on creation of more jobs and skill development schemes were launched. Bharat Nirman scheme was launched for holistic application of regional development for eliminating rural urban divide. For eliminating rural urban divide. we are moving on to 11th 5-year plan between 2007 to 2012. So again, this plan was towards inclusive growth, The idea is inclusive growth. And here also the plan focused on command area and watershed development management programs. What is command area program? What is basically command area? In last class also used the word command area. What is command area? Suppose let's say that any river, you take any river for that matter. If I'm taking Kaveri River or Krishna River, any river, where and all that river is going to benefit people, those are my command area. I repeat, where that river is going to spread, which are the areas which are going to be benefited either directly or indirectly by my river, we call it as a command area. Right. So this also focused on command area programs and accelerated irrigation benefit programs. Accelerated irrigation benefit program. Accelerated irrigation benefit program for the expansion of irrigation facilities. And there was in power sector, we had the development of smart grid technology, and there was the development of renewable energy resources, and so on. So all this had taken into account participatory people-oriented regional development strategies. This was mainly towards participatory people-oriented regional development strategies. And then coming on to 12th 5-year plan. The aim is to achieve, the aim is to achieve faster, sustainable, and more inclusive growth. Okay, so here also there was the objective of removing regional inequalities, improving the living condition, standards of living condition. So those were some broad objectives behind the 12th 5-year plans also. And many plans of the 11th 5-year plan was modified a little bit here and there to finalize your 12th 5-year plan. Detailed plans will be further given to you. Now let's go to success of 5-year plans and critical evaluation or the failures of 5-year plans. First of all, success of 5-year plan or achievements of 5-year plans. Success or achievements of 5-year plans. Okay. First thing is, we were in a position that we were actually begging for food grains from USA, but that position got changed. We became self-sufficient in food grains. The next one is we increase the per capita consumption, we increase the per capita income also. The next one is we try to establish many industries, like what? Iron and steel industries, cement factories, cotton textile industries. All of them functioned more as a growth pole. And that was also very successfully generated. Many Maharatna companies, Navaratna companies, they were created and they acted as a growth pole for the development of the region. Because of the 5-year plans only, we attained tremendous development in infrastructure, like sanitation facilities, rural connectivity, road networks, rural connectivity, power, very important, electricity, power networks. All this was created because of the, or you can say these were the success of the 5-year plans, which led to the development of infrastructure. We attained great improvement in exports. We diversified the exports, diversification of exports, and import substitution. This is quite important. Diversification of exports and import substitution. What is diversification of import substitution? Second. What is diversification of exports? What do you mean by this? As in, you are, let's say that I am exporting pens alone. I'm exporting pens alone to Europe. So tomorrow, if I'm also including pencils to this, I am diversifying my exports, which means even if people started to hate pens, they will still buy my pencils. And then day after tomorrow, I export rubber, that is your eraser. So my export is getting diversified. Even if one is not giving me income, the other one will give me income. Diversification of exports is one such thing which has been brought about by the 5-year plans. What is import substitution? We are generating our own substances. Suppose, let's say, before we were importing all the demands for cars. Then what happened? We had a company like Maruti Suzuki, which tried to, you know, make cars on our own. That is basically import substitution. We are making cars on our own. We are making bikes on our own. That is import substitution. Okay, so that is one success of the 5-year plans. Then, rural employment opportunity has increased, because of which rural to urban migration has also seen substantial reduction because of many employment activities which is being generated in the rural areas. We indulged in activities like green revolution, white revolution, blue revolution, etc. So these are the achievements of the 5-year plans. Now coming to limitations of 5-year plans, coming to failures or limitations of 5-year plans. Limitations of 5-year plans. First thing is land reforms. Only certain states were very successful with the land reforms. So poor land reforms implementation. We could not improve the connectivity with respect to northeastern parts of India. So they are still disconnected from the mainland India. The 5-year plans that we generated were not gender sensitive. They were not gender sensitive. We did not give many schemes to, we did not create many women-centric schemes. If the 5-year plan has been very successful, sex ratio would have been very good by now, but sex ratio is not that great. Yes, it has improved very recently, but that's a different story. But we are talking about the era of 5-year plans. 5-year plans did not do anything with regard to improvement of health of the women. It was not very gender sensitive. Okay, that is the point. The inequalities which existed were not completely removed. Inequalities existed within states, inequality existed between states. Those things were not removed. There was over importance which was given to public industries by the government. Over importance was given to public industries, public sector companies. Only after the LPG reforms, people started to realize the importance of the private sector over reliance on public sector industries. These were some of the limitations of 5-year plans. Let me see if I could find anything else. Okay. Um, okay, due to the failure in the achievement of regional development, yes, this is also important. Due to the failure in achievement of regional development, we had the problems of Naxalism, left-wing extremism. See, why did we create 5-year plans? To provide equitable development, to provide uniformity of development. But if that had been achieved, there would have been no Naxalism, no left-wing extremism. But right now, we are still facing problems of this extremist activity, insurgency. It's still very, very high. That is because the FYPs were not that successful. Second one, in the name of implementing the growth strategies, in the name of implementing the governmental policies, many administrative authorities became very, very corrupt. They used the money, they used black money for their own purposes. They started becoming more and more corrupt because of the governmental schemes. They will say that we have given so much funds to the old age population, but they will not give so much funds. It increased corruption. Finally, the developmental plans did not lead to the creation. Suppose, let's say we are talking about rural employment generation schemes, NREGA, for example, or any rural employment scheme, Jawahar Rojgar Yojana. Those employment generation schemes did not lead to productive assets. It did not lead to the creation of productive assets. The one thing that we expected, trickle down effect. When we created growth poles like Bhilai steel plant, Rourkela plant, Durgapur plant, the trickle down was not that successful, and that also further encouraged disparities in the regional development. So these were the points behind the limitations of 5-year plans. What is it? Productive asset. Productive assets were not created. See, if you see NREGA scheme, what will they come and do? Have you observed any NREGA person? Have you observed any person, any worker who's employed in NREGA scheme? They will come maybe at 10 o'clock. This is what happens in Tamil Nadu. They will come maybe at 10:30, 11 o'clock, dig some plants here and there. They will leave before lunch, 12. They will leave. What could have they done for 1.5 hours? They could not have done anything productive. But NREGA scheme, the aim of NREGA scheme itself, they have said we have to create productive assets. Productive community assets need to be created. That's the aim behind NREGA scheme. But there has been no productive assets. Forget productivity. There has been no asset that is created. They will just remove some bad weeds. Weeds will be grown at the end of the farms. So they will remove those weeds. They will clean some things and they will leave. There is no productive asset which has been created. So that is it about NREGA, and many other employment generation programs could not lead to the creation of productive assets. Okay. So that is it about 5-year plans. That is it about 5-year plans, and later on 5-year plans was completely dropped, and we had the creation of Niti Aayog, right? We had the creation of Niti Aayog. Now, there were after or during this 5-year plans, during the times of these 5-year plans, we thought, let us also make some regional level plans. Let us also make some regional level plans. So one such regional level plan was Damodar Valley Corporation Plan. Damodar River, Damodar River, you call it as the sorrow of Bengal. You call it as the sorrow of Bengal. So it rises somewhere in Jharkhand. It rises somewhere in Jharkhand, flows through the Chotanagpur Plateau, flows through the Hazaribagh Plateau, and finally drains into the Bay of Bengal. Okay, so this is the Damodar River. Now, what was I telling? Yes, so there's to engage in commercial hydropower generation with respect to Damodar River, we thought let us make a region level plan with respect to Damodar River. The inspiration for this Damodar Valley Corporation plan was Tennessee River Valley Plan. Okay, so the first one of the first multi-purpose river valley programs in India, multi-purpose river valley program in India is the Damodar Valley Corporation. It is one of the first regional level plans that was formulated in India. So we need to know about this plan, and we need to know about what were the aims of Damodar Valley Corporation, what was the, how did the plan go about, and what was the um, negatives or the drawbacks behind this particular plan. So give the heading as multi-purpose river valley projects, and in that give the heading as Damodar Valley Corporation plan, DVC, Damodar Valley Corporation plan. Okay, now just follow me, just listen to me for some time. Do not write anything, just listen to me. Right, just listen to me, do not write. Damodar Valley, as I've told you, it starts somewhere in the Jharkhand, flows through Chotanagpur Plateau, flows through Hazaribagh Plateau. I will write it. Hazaribagh Plateau, and finally drains into the Bay of Bengal. So it has tributaries like Barakar River, Konar River, etc. Okay, now many problems were associated with the Damodar River. The first thing is it is called as Sorrow of Bengal. Why? Because it led to frequent flooding activity. So it is called as Sorrow of Bengal. It was always more or less during the monsoon, it was always covered with flood waters. Apart from flooding, another basic problem is it led to diseases, epidemics like malaria. When it flooded, it led to epidemics like malaria. So that's another problem. This Chotanagpur Plateau had got enormous coal reserves, iron reserves, mica deposits, and so on. So they thought, why can't we exploit these resources, these minerals from this region? But they wanted power. They wanted power to exploit and to profitably use these resources. So they thought, come on, this river is also flooding and creating headache. There are so many mineral resources also which is available here. To tap that mineral resources, we need power. So what we'll do is we'll construct a dam. We'll construct a dam and generate hydroelectric power from the Damodar River. From the Damodar River. So what they thought was, let us construct a dam so that flooding can be prevented. At the same time, we can open the sluice gate, run a turbine, and at the same time, we can produce the hydroelectric power. We call it as in one throw, I'm getting two mangoes. So multiple advantages I'm getting. So this was the idea. Finally, they thought Tennessee River Valley in USA. They have also done something like this. So let us go visit this Tennessee River Valley, understand how they have done the project, and let us implement the same thing back in India. So they visited, they studied the project, and then they came back and they tried to implement the same thing with respect to Damodar River. Please do not write anything, just listen. The first one proposal was given. The proposal is, come on, let us construct a dam. Let us construct a dam which has a capacity more than the water holding capacity of the river. At the highest level of flooding, what is the capacity of the water which will be carried by this river? Let us construct a dam which can hold more water than this. I repeat, let us construct a dam which has more water holding capacity than the water which could be carried by Damodar River. Therefore, river would never flood. Therefore, the areas around this place will also not experience flooding. This was the proposal. They also proposed, from this dam, let me have some irrigation canals. From this main dam or from this river, let us have some irrigation canals so that wherever there are rice fields in West Bengal, there are more than like 7 million hectares of rice fields. 7 million hectares of rice fields in West Bengal. So these 7 million hectares of fields will be benefited by the water which is diverted from the Damodar River. So this was the second plan, second proposal. Third proposal. Okay, we have constructed a dam. We have stored some water. What is the purpose of dam? To store some water. What are we going to do with that stored water? It can't remain just like that in the dam. Let us open the gates. Let us generate hydroelectric power. So that was the third proposal. Hydroelectric power to be generated from the water that is stored behind the Damodar dam. After that, when power is generated, since this plateau region has got so many minerals, let us engage in industrialization as it is a resource-rich area. Fourth proposal. Fifth proposal. Let us not construct one dam. This river, Damodar River, has many tributaries also. Let us construct 7 dams. How many? 7. At Oru Strokler, they did not think of 1, 2 dams. They thought of 7 dams. Constructing one dam itself is dangerous. They thought we will construct 7 dams. What happens to the people who is there in that area? Nobody thought about it. What happens to the ecosystem services? Nobody thought about it. What happens to the economic viability? Now you're going to construct a dam. It is going to cost you many, many rupees. What about that project should be economically viable, right? That also they didn't think about, but they had the idea, let us build 7 dams. At the same time, they said that because of this dams, because of these 7 dams, flooding can be prevented. So these were the basic ideas. These were the initial proposals. The flaws behind the system is one or two flaws is there. First of all, they thought they didn't have a clear idea. I am going to have a multi-purpose river valley project. I am going to construct this dams. For what purpose? What is my purpose? Is my purpose going to be hydroelectric power production? Is my idea is flood control? Or is my idea going to be industrialization of the area? They named it as multi-purpose and they are not clear with their own purposes. They thought that let this be the first line of defense for flooding, but that did not that did not turn out to be true. What happened is the because of the construction of the dams, industrialization came up very rapidly, mining came up very rapidly, soil erosion took place rapidly, and this soil erosion accumulated at the dams. It started accumulating in the dams. What did we discuss in the morning? We discussed about the problem of siltation. Siltation became as a big problem with regard to these dams. Therefore, let's say that the dam's capacity is some 1,000 TMC. That dam could hardly contain only 300 TMC because of excessive siltation. Because of excessive siltation. This is a very imaginary value. Do not write this. Okay. So siltation, because of siltation, flooding prevention, they thought, let us construct the dams and prevent floods. The siltation ayathukondu that dams carrying capacity is very much reduced. Therefore, even during the floods, these dams could not contain the water. Therefore, then they thought, let us make hydropower generation as the basic objective. Let us make hydropower generation as the basic objective. But if that is the main objective, then also there is a problem. What is the problem? They should always store the water to the maximum level for hydroelectric power to be generated profitably. So that, the only when the level is maximum, the pressure will be maximum. They need to keep a continuous flow for the hydroelectric turbines to run profitably. So this also could not be done because the river was not a very perennial river. Okay. So hydroelectric power could also be not successfully generated. Flooding also could not be successfully done. But industrialization was very proper. Industrialization was very proper. Therefore, a lot of people came to this Damodar Valley side, and that created further more population pressure. So this Damodar Valley Corporation project was a half successful project and a half failure project. Okay, so let's quickly write down some of the notes with respect to this project. Any doubts in this point till now, whatever we have discussed? Any doubts in this? Any doubts? Fine. Let us take down the points first of all. Regional planning has not met with much of success in the country, and there is lack of interstate cooperation, which is cited as the main reason, it is cited as the main reason for the failure of regional planning strategies. What does this point mean? I just now told you Damodar is passing through many states. If I'm going to create a river valley project out of Damodar River, states like Jharkhand needs to cooperate, state like um, geography, states like Jharkhand needs to cooperate, state like West Bengal needs to cooperate. But this cooperation, interstate cooperation, is not happening with respect to any of these regional planning projects. So that is the first reason for failure of such regional developmental projects. Just a second. Right. So next point. Meanwhile, there is some other doubt that is there. Ma'am, just a random question. Can silt be used for agricultural purposes? Yes. In fact, silty soil is very, very good for agriculture. You can use it for agriculture. You can use it for construction activities, anything. Okay. So take down the second point. Many of the regions which have uniformity in terms of physiography and climate falls under different states. Example, Bundelkhand falls under, you write like this, Bundelkhand is a semi-arid region, is a semi-arid drought-prone region that falls under UP and MP, Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. Cold desert areas under Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh is another example. One of the next point, one of the earliest attempts at regional planning was taken up by Damodar Valley Corporation. Damodar River passes through areas of Bihar, Jharkhand, and drains into West Bengal and drains West Bengal before meeting Hooghly River, before meeting Hooghly River south of Kolkata. This area of Chota Nagpur and Hazaribagh Plateau, this area of Chota Nagpur, and Hazaribagh Plateau is a resource-rich region with deposits of coal, iron ore, mica, aluminium, etc. The areas of West Bengal have a flat terrain and has about 7 million hectares of field uh, that can be potentially irrigated by canals or barrages. Canals or barrages. Very often, next point, very often, Damodar River flooded the plains of West Bengal, causing loss of agricultural property, life, etc. So you can write down example, it flooded during the following years. It flooded during the following years 1823, 1948, 1956, 1962, 1971. I'm sorry, I missed it out. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. Cut the whole thing. 1823, 1848, 1856, 1862, 1871, 1901, 1923, 1943, etc. So this information is just to indicate how often it keeps flooding. All right, nothing more than that. So it's called as Sorrow of Bengal. That also you can write it within bracket. It is called as Sorrow of Bengal. Next point. To generate employment and increase the levels of income, industrialization with heavy engineering was a good option in this resource rich region. But problem of power was persistent. And thermal power was the only form of electricity generation in this area. Next paragraph. Damodar Valley Corporation was therefore set up in 1948, and this was based on the success of Tennessee Valley Authority. Tennessee Valley Authority. Tennessee is this. Tennessee, T-E-double-N-double-S and double E. So Tennessee Valley Authority in USA. With the help of Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA, with the help of TVA, certain proposals were given that included construction of reservoirs, thermal power plants, etc. Thereby, next paragraph, next point, thereby, according to this according to this project, 4 dams were actually constructed. So the original proposed number of dams was many, 7 dams, but actually 4 dams were constructed. Four dams were constructed, and you write this. You draw 4 dams were constructed and keep writing this. Tillaya and Maiton Dam on river Barakar. So if you have Damodar River, and I have 2 tributaries. One is Konar tributary. This is Damodar River. And then I have Barakar River. So in Konar River, I have one dam which is called as Konar Dam. In Barakar River, I have 2 dams. One is Tillaya Dam and the other one is Maiton Dam. In Damodar River, I have a dam which is called as Panchet Hill Dam. All right. So the project had these dams, and you write it like Tillaya and Maiton Dam on river Barakar, Konar Dam on river Konar, Panchet Hill Dam on Damodar River. And you draw this kind of one schematic representation also. This is not the actual diagram, but a schematic representation. 3 thermal power plants were set up. 3 thermal power plants were set up at Bokaro, Durgapur, and Chandrapura. The idea is that, the next point, the idea is that when a dam is constructed with more water holding capacity than the actual carrying capacity of the Damodar River, floods can be avoided. At the same time, hydroelectric power can be generated using the dams so that industries can flourish in the resource-rich region. Evaluation. Take down the next heading is evaluation of the project. Evaluation of the project. It spurred spurred means it led to the growth of, or you can write it led to the growth of industries and important industrial destinations like Jamshedpur, Chittaranjan, Jamshedpur, Chittaranjan, Asansol, Ranchi became prominent places. Floods reduced in the West Bengal plains, and it also provided some relief against epidemics like malaria. So within bracket, you can write malaria was actually called in that region as Burdwan fever. So the region was Burdwan. So Burdwan fever, which plagued between 1861 to 72. Next point, evaluation. Next point, irrigation system covered more than 7 lakh hectares of land, which also led to increase in cropping intensity. Increase in cropping intensity. Though it is one of next point, though it is one of the first attempts for interstate cooperation, it failed to achieve its objectives in certain areas. Example, as industrial growth started in this area, mining for minerals became rampant. Mining for minerals became rampant. This led to deforestation, siltation problem in dams, and consequently, the efficiency of the dam to control floods was significantly reduced. Next point, flood control and power generation are considered contradictory objectives. Either you should be concentrating only on flood control or you should be concentrating only on power generation. Both cannot take place hand in hand as had been imagined. Yes, it can take place, but not profitable. So flood control and power generation are considered to be contradictory objectives. For flood control, dams should be emptied. Dams should be emptied before the monsoon. But if power generation was the main objective, sustained supply of water is necessary. The area, continue writing, the area also saw some floods due to power generation activities overriding flood control as an objective. Overriding flood control as an objective. With industrialization, next point, with industrialization, in-migration started to operate. In-migration means more and more people started to come to this region. In-migration started to operate and problems of urbanization emerged in these industrial centers. So that is it about um, Damodar Valley Corporation project, which is a multi-purpose river valley project. The next important project which we are going to take up, planning methodology which we are going to take up, uh, these can be some of the probable or important questions. So that is why I'm doing it first of all. So next one is, before going any further, any doubts in this? Any doubts in this, any of this concept that we have discussed? Right. So let's move forward. It is about NCR planning, National Capital Region Planning. Write it in full form, National Capital Region Planning. Okay. So here also, first of all, do not write. I will give you oral notes later. Just listen to the story. Delhi. First of all, one thing that you need to understand with regard to Delhi planning and the rest of the other metropolitan area planning is Delhi is also the administrative capital of the entire country, which means when I am having some other cities, like if I'm going to plan Chennai, it's going to be different. If I'm going to plan for Calcutta, it's going to be different from what I should be rather expecting in Delhi. Delhi, it's very complicated. So we are first of all going to plan for a metropolitan area. At the same time, this is going to be the administrative capital for my country. For my country. So if I am going to plan for any metropolitan area, like if I'm going to plan for Chennai, Bombay, Kolkata, I can just go with the central business district model. After that, I can think about the multi-sectoral approach, and then I can plan for the entire city. But that's not the case here. Here, I need to talk about metropolitan area as well as I need to talk about the various administrative issues that is coming up with along with Delhi that I need to discuss. I need to plan for various administrative problems, and many regions are actually many pockets around Delhi are actually dependent on Delhi very much directly. Okay, so that is when we thought Delhi cannot be seen in an isolated manner. I repeat, that is when they realized Delhi cannot be seen in an isolated manner. And then they came up with in the year of 1962, in the year of 1962, they came up with Delhi Master Plan. They came up with Delhi Master Plan. The idea is, let us decongest Delhi. It's too much of congestion is there. Let us decongest Delhi. This was the basic objective behind Delhi Master Plan, nothing else. Decongesting Delhi, resettle the people coming to Delhi to some other places, develop. How can I resettle people in some other places? I need to develop counter magnets. I need to develop some counter magnet cities in the form of satellite towns. So this was the plan with regard to Delhi Master Plan. So I have just now given you a hint. I need to formulate or I need to create counter magnets. I need to create some satellite towns which can further attract people towards itself, so that people do not always come to Delhi. One person, if he needs a job in Rajasthan, he will come to Delhi. One person, if he needs a job in UP, he will come to Delhi. It will lead to a congestion of a Delhi is a very small place. Why should we congest it more and more? And here comes geography. What is it? Ravenstein's law. When you're writing again, a general hint on another, a very generalized hint. When you're writing about any metropolitan area planning, and when you're talking about now two urban geographers' names. One is Ravenstein's law, Ravenstein's migration laws, and the other one was Stouffer's. Stouffer's laws. What did Stauffer say? Anybody? What did Stauffer say with regard to migration? What is Stauffer's law? It is the law of intervening opportunities. It is the law of intervening opportunities. Suppose, let's say that I have to go to Trivandrum. I am settled somewhere in Idiki. I need to go to Trivandrum for civil service coaching. Okay, I am settled. I am person who belongs to Idiki district. Now, if I'm giving you an intervening opportunity, that is in Pala, you have a civil service institute, you wouldn't be going all the way to Trivandrum. Rather, you will be settling down for Pala. Yes, that is law of intervening opportunity. Rather than traveling a distance of 350 kilometers, if I'm traveling for say around some 40-50 kilometers, if I'm getting another place, then why will I go to Trivandrum? This is law of intervening opportunity. Stauffer's law. Rather than people from Rajasthan moving to Delhi, if I'm creating a Jaipur, if I'm creating a proper place in Jaisalmer, why will they come to Delhi? Rather than people coming from all the way from UP to Delhi, if I'm creating a good industry in Agra, why will they come to Delhi? This is law of intervening opportunity. They thought to decongest Delhi, we need to bring in some intervening opportunities. Point number one. Ravenstein's law. What is Ravenstein's law? Anybody? People, there are some 7-8 points, but one important point is following distance decay effect of Zipf's law. It says migration is inversely proportional to distance. People prefer to migrate to short distances. That is Ravenstein's law. Migration is inversely proportional to distance, something that is closely related to distance decay effect. Why should people come all the way to Delhi when you are having some other industry which is developed in the nearby regions? That is my secondary course. As per the growth pole theory, they will be secondary course, or as per the migration urban geography, we can call it as satellite towns, or we can call it as counter magnets. Okay, so this was the idea behind the 1962 Delhi plan. But what happened is, with this master plan, there was some unplanned infrastructure begin to crop up. There was a problem of unplanned infrastructure. So the master plan said there was some problem of unplanned infrastructure. So the master plan said only 2 floors are permitted. in everywhere, in every building in Delhi, only 2 floors are permitted. So I have a ground floor, on top of it 1 floor, and then on top of it another floor. 2 floors are permitted. So this was suggested. Apart from that, this 1962 plan said we will be having green belts. Where have you learnt about this concept of green belts? Green belts, anybody?
Urban settlement.
Urban settlement, yes, but very specifically. It was in rural urban fringe. It was in rural urban fringe. Green belt is a character of rural urban fringe. So that was another point which was given by the 1962 Delhi Master Plan. Green belts is to be created. In the green belts, I should also be having certain industrial centers also. In that urban fringe, I should be having industrial centers also. And there should be radial roads from Delhi to different directions. Radial roads to be designed, radial roads to be designed from Delhi in different directions. And then in the year of 1985, we created NCR planning, not Delhi planning, but National Capital Region planning was created. National Capital Region Plan was created in the year of 1985, which again required interstate cooperation. Interstate cooperation, because this NCR, remember, whenever I'm talking about Delhi, I'm talking about just Delhi. But when I use the word NCR, it is not about just Delhi, it also includes 24 districts from states like Haryana, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh. These 3 states will also be included. So when I'm talking about, apart from Delhi's, I think 7 districts, apart from Delhi's 7 districts, if I'm talking about national capital region, I am talking about 24 districts, which also comprises from districts of these regions, because all of these places are directly dependent on this region of Delhi. So NCR planning, they began to take place. NCR planning began to take place in the year of 1985, which required interstate cooperation of states like Haryana, Rajasthan, and Uttar Pradesh. Then came NCR Planning Board. This was set up, and they said it is high time we formulate another master plan for Delhi. So they wanted to create a Delhi Master Plan 2.0 in the year of 2021. But this is not being created yet, so let's not worry about it. But this was one of their objective. This was one of their objective. The idea is to decongest Delhi further, to have community centers, to bring in multimodal transportation networks, to reduce urban floods, to bring about sewage management, and so on. So let us write some notes. Let us write some notes here. First point, NCR planning is an example of metropolitan area planning. It is not the same as an urban planning process that focuses on internal layout of central business district alone. Problems started emerging in Delhi after independence. Please write point formats. Do not write in long paragraphs. It will not be nice. Problems started emerging in Delhi after independence as it saw huge influx of migrants who had to be accommodated. Full stop. As northern parts of the country did not have strong industrial base, as northern parts of the country do not have a strong industrial base, migration from Uttar Pradesh, right in short formats, UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand continued, and there was a decadal growth rate, and there was a decadal growth rate, of about more than 50%, of about more than 50% between 1951 to 1991. The problems, next point, the problems were in the form of congestion, collapse of infrastructure, lack of basic amenities, etc. Next point, a master plan was formulated, a Delhi master plan was formulated in 1962 with the following objectives. Number one, or A, setting up counter magnets which can absorb the population that would otherwise come to Delhi. So, economic base was to be provided in areas Jaipur, Ambala, Bareilly, Gwalior, etc. Heavy industries, next point, second point. Heavy industries were absent, which were to be set up in the peripheral regions beyond the green belt. Within bracket, you can write rural urban fringe. Third point, to develop a sense of belonging, community parks and centers were to be set up. Now here you can write a short note, like note in editor. Maybe you can write whatever I'm telling right now. The idea of decongesting Delhi and to set up counter magnets followed the laws of Ravenstein's migration laws and Stauffer's law of opportunities. Continue writing, continue writing, not as a part of master plan, but as a part of your initial bullet points. The objectives could not be achieved as there was no supervising body. So, NCR Planning Board was formed in the year of 1985. NCR Planning Board was formed in the year of 1985 with interstate cooperation with interstate cooperation of states like Haryana, Rajasthan, UP, full stop. In 2007, the NCR Planning Board gave out the NCR Master Plan 2021. At present, NCR includes 24 districts of UP, Haryana, Rajasthan, and National Capital Territory of Delhi. Next point. It divides Delhi and NCR region under 6 categories based on population like metropolitan centers, regional centers, sub-regional centers, service centers, central service centers, and basic centers. The idea of the Delhi Master Plan 2021 is the idea of Delhi Master Plan is as follows, right? Like that is as follows. Number 1, to decongest Delhi even further. Number 2, to have community centers and to inculcate a sense of belonging, Number 3, transportation system has to be upgraded with integrated multimodal transport project. Underline this, the transportation system has to be upgraded with integrated multimodal transport project, which is to be completed by 2032. You can also write that then there should be, no, you write like this. The objective is to reduce congestion. Continue writing. The objective is to reduce congestion, pollution, and bring Complementarity in infrastructure. Complementarity in infrastructure. What do you mean by this? Complementarity. Now you underline integrated multimodal transport project. You underline complementarity infrastructure. What do you mean by this? Complementarity in infrastructure means, suppose let's say that I am bringing transport connectivity to a rural village. Follow just an example to explain what do you mean by complementarity. I'm bringing good transport connectivity to a village. Proper roads, proper buses, very, very good roads, solid all-weather roads, but without, I'm not giving electricity to that village. I have not given electricity to that village, but I am bringing in proper transport connectivity along. Is that a proper form of development? Will that lead to development in the first place? No. After 6, if that whole village doesn't have electricity, what will they see? Where will they go? So the point is, if you're bringing in one infrastructure, there should be also some complementary infrastructure for that. If I'm giving uh, cable TV networks to everybody in Pala, what will they do with that? Tomorrow, if I'm giving mobile phone to everybody, but without internet connectivity, only some talking alone can be done, but Google cannot be accessed. This is complementarity of infrastructure. If one is there, another thing should also be there so that there is complete upgradation of infrastructure. Okay, that is complementarity in infrastructure. So there should be complementarity. Then coming to this, what is integrated multimodal transport project? What is integrated multimodal transport project? It means, follow me again, take some running notes here and there. It means I am coming from USA. I landed in Kochi. I landed in Kochi International Airport. I came from USA. I had one connecting flight in maybe Dubai or in Kuwait or something. I came down to Kochi. Okay, so this is what my planning, my traveling plan is. Now my place of residence is not Kochi. I have to come to maybe a remote corner in Pala in one small village. Not even in Pala. From Pala, I have to go to another small village. What will I do? If suppose from Kochi to Pala there is no bus, or suppose there is no taxi service, what will I do? There's a problem. So how will I usually come from Kochi? I will get one car, maybe a taxi that is there locally. Maybe I will catch that taxi and directly come to Pala. Or I can do something, I can catch the taxi, go to the nearest railway station, get a train, come to Kottayam, and then from Kottayam I have to get another bus or something, come to Pala. Or I can do one thing, I can get a taxi, go to a bus station, get a private bus, come to Pala. These are the things that I should be doing. So look at this, from coming from USA to my village. I need to get a flight, I need to get a taxi, I need to get a train, I need to get a bus so that I can reach my last mile village. I'm using 4 to 5 transportation networks. In this case, this is what we call it as integrated multimodal transport project. Even if one thing is cut here, let's say some bus service is not here or train service is not here, I will not be able to reach from one place to another. In Delhi, for example, if someone needs to come from maybe from somewhere from the Parliament region to Karol Bagh, okay, you need to first of all get into a metro. After that, you need to get into that electric vehicles that carry you from metro to, there are many electric vehicles. So you need to get an electric vehicle, go to Karol Bagh. After that, maybe you can get into a cycle rickshaw, or you can use an auto to go to the nearby place. So that electric vehicle is an important part of my connectivity. That cycle rickshaw is an important part of my connectivity. This is integrated multimodal project. This should be there, so that connectivity problem does not come in any place. That is an important project with respect to Delhi. Integrated multimodal developmental project by 2032. Apart from that, we need to reduce congestion, pollution, and bring in complementarity of infrastructure. Yes, take down. Next point. As Delhi is prone to natural and man-made disasters, vulnerability mapping needs to be created. Vulnerability mapping. Vulnerability mapping needs to be created. What is vulnerability mapping? Which are the areas which are more likely to get flooded? If I'm talking about earthquakes, okay. If I'm talking about earthquakes, one portion of the Delhi is completely covered with settlements. Too much settlement. And there is a small ground area here. So, you know, how will I map, or how will I design disaster management for this particular area? I will tell the people in advance that since this area is covered with buildings, you please come and be close to this ground area, or at least come and stay down in your vacant street. Please do not occupy that buildings. This is vulnerability mapping. If in one portion of Pala, if there is a river nearby, I can channelize all my flood waters into the river. But there will be some other hilly portion which will be prone to landslides, so that my concentration should be high for that hilly area and not to this river-based area. Are you getting me? One portion of any city will be more prone to damages than some other areas. This is vulnerability mapping. So for Delhi, which is prone to many man-made disasters as well as natural disasters, vulnerability mapping needs to be undertaken. Next point is something very important. Infrastructure has to be, take down, infrastructure has to be properly planned, and under the new specification, permission is given for tilt plus 4 storages. Meaning, previously, the permission that is given for any given building, any random building is, you can have a ground floor and you can have 2 floors. This was the plan for 1962 master plan. But right now, the permission is like this. You can have a stilt. What is this stilt basically? Now, let me explain. You can have 4 storages on top of it. 4 storages on top of it. Here, this can be used for parking, like what we are seeing in CSIP. You are having ground floor with stilt level, yes or no? That is stilt level parking. After that, there are my first floor is there, my second floor is there, something like that. So that is stilt construction, stilt and 4 storages. Next point. The plan also puts emphasis on reducing power deficit, which at present is around 23,000 megawatt. The power deficit of Delhi is about is around 23,000 megawatt. Next point. Waste to energy plants. In fact, waste to energy plants. In fact, you can take this as important for prelims because if I'm not wrong, in 2019 or 2020 prelims, there was a question about waste to energy plants. Waste to energy plants, comma, use of landfill gas, use of landfill gas can solve problems of waste disposal and groundwater contamination. Can solve problems of waste disposal and groundwater contamination. So first of all, what is landfill gas? See, there are places which will be used as dumping grounds of waste cover. Your normal waste, whatever you're disposing, usually the municipal corporation, the municipality will choose some site as a site for waste disposal. You can see some large dumping grounds in your cities. They will be exclusively for waste disposal. Now, these places will emit certain harmful gases. These places will emit some harmful gases, maybe hydrogen sulfide, maybe methane. They can be emitted. Now, what you need to do is, if you are using proper waste disposal mechanism, you can capture this gas and you can use it in the form of biogas. So that is the idea behind using the landfill gas and using or the idea behind the waste to energy conversion power plants. Waste to energy conversion plants. The waste that you are disposing will emit some harmful gas that if you are properly tapping it, you can use it for energy purposes. That needs to be properly constructed, says the Delhi Master Plan of 2030, 2021. Next point. Groundwater is overused in Delhi and piped water is not available to around 50% of households. So this we need to find a solution for shortage of water supply. The next point, problem of sewage and waste management needs to be undertaken. At present, only 66% of the sewage is treated before it enters the rivers. The master plan of 1962 has not met with great success, and NCR 2021 plan largely depends on interstate cooperation for its success.
May sentence ഒന്ന് repeat ചെയ്യാം.
The master plan of 1962 has not met with large success, and NCR master plan of 2021 depends largely on interstate cooperation for its success. Okay, So that concludes my NCR planning also. That concludes NCR planning. Now, any doubts in this? Any doubts that you have with regard to this? Okay, now we are moving on. I can move to the next topic. We are moving on to another topic, which is regional development of island regions. Development of regional planning of island regions or island territories. So for this, you need to be writing about two island territories of India. What is it? Your Andaman and Nicobar as well as your Lakshadweep Islands. So what about the problems faced by Lakshadweep Islands? What are the problems faced by Andaman and Nicobar Islands? And what are the solutions that you should be finding for regional planning purposes? That is what you are going to write here. Okay, so first of all, we'll take down or just listen to the story first of all. Tomorrow we'll write the theory. Listen to the story. Lakshadweep Islands. Lakshadweep consists of many atolls. Lakshadweep consists of many atolls. But education is pretty much higher in the case of Lakshadweep. Because it's been closely associated to Kerala, and that's why the education, I would say that's why the education is pretty much higher in Lakshadweep. When compared to that, if I'm going to compare Andaman and Nicobar Islands, it is having too many problems. One of the basic problem is the presence of lots of PVTGs. You have Jarawas, Shompens, Onches, Nicobaris. So these are the different PVTGs, and each PVTG has got its own problem, basically problems of tribals. Therefore, if I am talking about the problems of Lakshadweep, it is different. It is different. There are many economic problems here. If I'm talking about the problems of Andaman and Nicobar, the problem is different. So the one thing that you need to understand with regard to this introduction session of island territories is that one size fits all approach does not work in the case of island territories. Though the islands are very small in size, but one size fits all approach, one approach does not fit both Lakshadweep and Andaman. The ideas, the problems with regard to Andaman is different, the problems with regard to Lakshadweep is different. Therefore, I need to formulate a separate strategy for Lakshadweep Island. I need to formulate a separate strategy for Andaman and Nicobar Islands. For example, if I'm talking about Lakshadweep problems, maybe you can take some running notes also here. If I'm talking about Lakshadweep problems, basic economic problems are there. Like, I have good palm and coconut plantations in Lakshadweep. So I need to develop proper coir fiber industry. If coir fiber is properly developed, this economic prosperity can be achieved in Lakshadweep. Mushroom cultivation can be done in Lakshadweep. Mushroom cultivation gives a lot of money. Even many people take up mushroom cultivation as one of their livelihood activities. Mushroom cultivation can be done in Lakshadweep. Fish processing industries can be done profitably. I can indulge in what can you say? Pearl manufacturing, oyster manufacturing. You know oysters, no? Oysters, pearls. These can be profitably cultivated, maybe artificially or natural cultivation, anything. they can be profitably cultivated with regard to Lakshadweep Islands. So many atolls, small atolls are ulladu. So maybe you can, the farmers, the fishermen could engage in oyster farming and pearl farming, or you can call it as oyster culture and pearl culture. One very important problem apart from the economic problems is water scarcity. Yes, you have too many waters around the Lakshadweep Islands, but water scarcity is a basic problem. Therefore, we need to undertake desalination of water. All of the water that is surrounding Lakshadweep is basically seawater. So maybe we can engage in desalination process of water, maybe using solar power. We can engage in poultry activities, cattle farming activities, some hens, your poultry activities. At the same time, the coconut farmers are there, no, in Lakshadweep. Usually there will be a storm, there will be any sort of rainfall activity, and the farmers will face incredible loss out of those coconuts. Coconut farmers, they will face many losses. So for that, maybe government can concentrate on some crop insurance schemes. Coral reef getting damaged is another problem. Theft of coral reefs is another problem. Unsustainable tourism activity is a problem. So these are the problems with regard to Lakshadweep. When I am talking about problems of Andaman and Nicobar, the main problem is with regard to PVTGs. Education is another problem. Food security is another basic problem. Here, water scarcity is a problem. In Lakshadweep, water scarcity is a problem. Here, food security is a problem. What can be done to remove this food security issues? That we need to analyze. Similarly, tsunamis, cyclones. These are some of the common problems affecting Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Another basic problem is pelagic fishing or bottom trawling. What is bottom trawling? There is a very specialized marine equipment called as trawlers. They will scrap the oceanic floor, and there are many good fishes in the bottom level. There will be fat fishes at the bottom, and it will trap all those fishes, and the net will come out. Follow me very closely. The trawling machine will trap all those bottom fishes and the net will come out. But what will happen is there will be small fish eggs also will be there. There will be some very precious marine life in the bottom level, and that will also be taken up. So when fish eggs are also taken up, you know what will be the problem? Next cycle of fish hatching will be destabilized. Next uh, next cycle of fish will be disturbed. The eco cycle will be disturbed. So those are the problems with regard to Andaman and Nicobar. Tomorrow we will be seeing about what are the different problems with regard to these places, and what are the various regional planning practices that has been adopted by the government with regard to these places. All right. Uh, so from tomorrow, I think we'll be having offline classes. I think so. So I know I am supposed to come tomorrow to class, but anyways, there are certain people whom I interact only with online mechanism. This online Zoom classes, maybe from tomorrow, I think it will be hard to interact with you. So let's see how it goes. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Miss.
Sí.